is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to the 21st day of the Purushotam Maas challenge, and we're on the final verse of this Bhagavad Gita Chapter 15. Today we're on verse number 20. So it's the final verse of this chapter. But personally to me, this is the most important purport of this whole chapter, because Prabhupada really packs a lot of solid information into this purport. So we're going to go through it carefully, and please don't miss out, because tomorrow we're going to start a brand new discussion. It's going to be Brahma Stuti, 14th chapter of the 10th canto, which is just going to be nectar. So we've been discussing about Gyan all the while, 20 verses. We've been discussing about Gyan all the while, 20 verses of Gyan. Oof, the head is paining now. Now we want to hear about Krishna's beauty, Krishna's love for his devotees. And we want to hear about the rasa, the nectar. So in this chapter 14, which we're going to start tomorrow, it's going to be a beautiful description of Vrindavan and Krishna, Prema Madhurya, Krishna's beautiful form, Rupa Madhurya, Krishna's beautiful form. And we're going to go over the different features of Krishna. It's going to be very, very beautiful. So please don't miss out and join us also tomorrow. So let's move on to this 20th and final verse of this 15th chapter. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text number 20. Iti ghuyam tamam shastram idam uktam mayanuggaha etad bhutva buddhiman syat krita krityas cha bharata. Translation: this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So let's read over the translation again carefully. Translation: this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. So Krishna is starting here by saying, Arjuna, I've discussed so many different things with you, but in terms of jnana, in this chapter, we were talking about the goal of the Vedas. Vedas cha sarve raham eva vedyo. That is the goal of the Vedas, to know Krishna. So in this chapter, in the Gyan section, now Krishna is saying, Iti guyam tamam shastram. This is guya tamam, the topmost or the most confidential guyam secret. This is the most confidential secret in the scripture. That means even beyond Krishna, knowing about Krishna, because knowing about Krishna is one thing. What do you do after that? Devotional service is even higher than that. Because once you understand what is devotional service, then the relationship, the lost relationship with the Lord can begin. So this is Guya Tamam, topmost. It's not first level, second level. This is the third level, Guya Tamam. So translation goes on, O sinless one. This is also describing that in order to actually come to this point, you have to be sinless, free from sin. That is why in Sarva Dharman Parijyaja, one of the things Krishna was offering there, that if you surrender unto me, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, Aham Dvam Sarva Papebhyo, I'll take away all your sinful reactions. Moksha Isyam, Ima Suchaha, don't fear, and I'll give you moksha also. And then at the end of the 7th chapter, we also hear the same point being mentioned. Te se dvanda gatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajate mam drita vrata. that Arjuna, for after doing many years, lifetimes of pious activity, one finally comes to me after all his sinful reactions are being finished. Then bhajate mam. They said dvanda gatam papam, all his sin is finished. And jananam punya karmanam, and all his punya, all the punya that he did has brought him to this point. And te dvanda moha nirmukta, the illusion, this moha is finished. And bhajate mam drita vrata, he does his bhajan. Yesterday we were talking about this word bhaj, which creates the word bhajan. Bhajate mam drita vrata, he does his bhajan with great determination. So anugaha, that one must be sinless in order to come to the point of practicing Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada goes on to say, and it is disclosed now by me. So any reasonable person now will say, if Krishna is disclosing it, then who is Krishna? Who is he? What is his position that he is disclosing this information? He must be a very exalted personality, at least that much. But now we've come to know at the end of this Purushotam Yoga, that he is the Supreme Purushotam himself. And he is disclosing this knowledge. That means it's very, very important. The translation goes on. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So he's saying, now that you heard this knowledge about me, whoever understands this, he'll become wise. Become wise. Don't be foolish and think that just religion is just offering this, doing this ritual, waiting for that result. Because that kind of religion is simply based on fruit of result. That kind of religion simply wants something in return. It doesn't want God. It wants fruit of material things in return. That is your God. That is what you want. That is what you love. That is what you dedicated to. Some fruit of result. You don't need God for that. So don't be bewildered by this fruit of result religion. That is not religion at all. This is religion. To love and serve God with devotional service. And by doing that, then he's saying, Aham Tom Sarva Papebhyo, I'll take care of you, just surrender to me. He's done it so far anyway, right? He's given the air, the water, the sun, the moon, the digestion in your stomach. He's doing all of that. Why he won't take care of this one thing that you need? He's taking care of your physical body. Why he won't take care of your subtle body? Your mind and intelligence, what your mind wants. This enjoyment is just based on your mind. It's just based on a conditioning of your mind. So he's saying, if I'm taking care of your physical body in so much ways, why I won't take care of your subtle body? And then what to speak of your spiritual body? What are you doing about that? Yesterday I heard a very beautiful saying that, we're usually very close to our own kind of people, so to speak, in a conditioned environment. Like, if we are South Indian, we stay with South Indian people. If we're Gujarati, we'll stay with Gujarati people. If we Hindi, we'll stay with Hindi people. So this person was making the point, there's nothing wrong with that, because birds of a feather flock together and we feel more comfortable in that environment. Okay. But he says mukti is individual. Mukti is individual. You may be with those people for socializing, but mukti or moksha, that's completely an individual thing. It's not based on any of those external features. So when are you going to prepare yourself for mukti? When are you going to start preparing yourself for moksha? This is what this is addressing. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord clearly explains here that this is the substance of all revealed scriptures. That this is the most important thing now, devotional service. Without this, you cannot understand anything about God. Nothing. So this is the most important thing. Iti guyam tamam shastram. This is the most important thing. Prabhupada goes on to say, and one should understand this as it is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So understand it as Krishna is giving that. He's saying, yeah, I'm giving this to you, Arjun. I'm disclosing this. Krishna is speaking directly. Still we don't want to accept. Maybe some sadhu is speaking, Srila Prabhupada, some acharya is different. Krishna directly is speaking Bhagavad Gita, and he directly is saying this, do it like this, cultivate this. So if we can't hear from him directly, who are we going to listen to? What are we listening to is the mind. So that means we revere and honor and respect the mind more than Krishna. The choices of the mind we respect more than Krishna. Just see our conditioned state. Remember, mukti is totally individual. It doesn't matter who you are in this world, what community you belong to. Mukti is individual. Prabhupada goes on to say, thus one will become intelligent and perfect in transcendental knowledge. So what is the result of this? That if we don't give up knowledge, we become more intelligent, we become more thoughtful, we begin to see the world so much differently in transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is giving is transcendental knowledge. So if we take it, we actually benefit so much, we become more intelligent. Prabhupada is saying here. He goes on to say, in other words, by understanding this philosophy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engaging in his transcendental service, everyone can become freed from all contaminations of modes of material nature. So that's now he's simplifying it. He's speaking it philosophically first, now he's giving it in layman's language. If you just do devotional service, you'll be freed from the modes of nature. And by doing that, you will attain the highest. Chapter 14, verse 26. Mamscho vibichare na bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitetan bhamma bhuyaya kalpate. That these three, bhakti is beyond the three modes. So try to move beyond them and engage in devotional service. Prabhupada goes on to say here, devotional service is a process of spiritual understanding. Now Prabhupada actually goes into detail to say, listen, don't think bhakti is this emotional, I love God, I'm seeing God in my dreams, Krishna is coming to me and he's talking to me. This is a bit too sentimental, too emotional. That may be there. You don't take that away. We don't deny it. But scripturally, we can all understand who is God and have an experience with Him. So Prabhupada is saying, don't think bhakti is devoid of knowledge or jnana. No, the jnani that was struggling to understand, we also have philosophy, very deep philosophy, as you can hear and understand. So now Prabhupada is going to be talking about devotional service. So please listen attentively. Prabhupada continues, wherever devotional service exists, the material contaminations cannot coexist. Because devotional service is a transcendental thing. It's a relationship, a transcendental relationship with Krishna. Therefore, nothing material can be there. You cannot have a material consciousness there. And we see that in temples, even at homes, when we transform things by devotion, we see it has a whole different energy about it. Prabhupada goes on to say, devotional service to the Lord and the Lord Himself are one and the same because they are spiritual. So you see, when you're doing devotional service, you're in contact with that Suddha Sattva, that pure spiritual energy of the spiritual world. So it's non-different from Krishna directly. The process even is non-different. The process of love and devotional service, non-different from Krishna. Prabhupada goes on to say, devotional service takes place within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. So that internal energy is Srimati Radharani, in specifically the Ladini Shakti. is Srimati Radharani. But this internal energy is Krishna's own. It's external energy, the material world, internal energy. All these different personalities that know how to serve him in the perfected way. Prabhupada goes on to say, the Lord is said to be the sun and ignorance is called darkness. So we know this Vedic aphorism, Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. That the Lord is the sun. Sun is illuminating. From light we get, sun gives light, and from the word light we get enlightenment. Comes from that, to enlighten. So therefore the sun is compared to knowledge. Enlighten. Where the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. So we know darkness, if darkness is present there, it just means it's an absence of the sun. As soon as there's one speck of light, there's no more darkness. So it's just a gradation of light. In and itself, darkness doesn't exist. But if you fade out light till the point where there's no light, that is called darkness. So it's actually a gradation of light where there is no light. I hope that confuses you thoroughly. So darkness is nothing but light, but in its form when there is no light. Anyway, figure that one out. Therefore, whenever devotional service is present under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no question of ignorance. So if you want to connect to the Lord, you need a proper spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master. Not this form of religiosity that we're practicing without any guidance of guru, just for material rewards. We're tricking ourselves, we're fooling ourselves. We're actually just fooling to the demands of the mind, that's all. So when are we going to focus on our own mukti, on our own liberation? This is important because we are getting older and there's no time left. If we think that form of religion is going to get us back to Godhead, that bartering religion, I did this, I offered this, now give this, that's not going to get us anywhere. That's the lowest form of religion in the Vedas. That's karma kanda. And that's why Vyasadeva was chastised by Narada Muni, that you promoting this as religion. That's why it started that way in the Bhagavatam. You promoting this as religion, the way people are just asking for fruitive results. What's wrong with you? You haven't discussed anything about bhakti or devotional service. So he apologized, yes, Guru Maharaj. And then he started talking about Krishna. So we go on to say, everyone must take to this consciousness of Krishna and engage in devotional service to become intelligent and purified. So two things, if you want to become intelligent, don't try and do it on your own. Hear what the Creator is saying. He created it only now. He created this, so surely if you hear from Him, you'll know how this works. Now you want to go on your own experiment and do this and do that. Is that intelligent? Ask the Creator only now. Ask Him. He'll tell you. And He's telling us here, Purushotam, I'm telling you all this is how it is, how it works. So that's why the devotee starts becoming very intelligent. Because he's hearing from Krishna himself through the parampara system. The parampara system is not giving their own interpretation. They're simply speaking what Krishna is saying. So the devotee simply hears what Krishna is saying. He has perfect knowledge. Perfect questions, perfect answers. Prabhupada goes on to say, unless one comes to this position of understanding Krishna and engages in devotional service, however intelligent he may be in the estimation of some common man, he is not perfectly intelligent. Why? Because your knowledge is coming by your own experiments, pratyaksha. And you're saying today it's like this, 10 years time you said, oh, we don't know, it's different now. But the knowledge from Krishna, that's eternal. 5,000 years it has existed so far. So it's eternal. Vedas has existed from time immemorial. So it's eternal. So if we connect to that knowledge, that is intelligent. That is intelligent. Surely there were intelligent people in the past. What do you think? Only intelligent people now? All these scientists are intelligent, but it's only because now, 5,000 years, there was no intelligent people. Those were scientists also. So surely there's intelligent people in the past as well. And who they accepted? They accepted Krishna. So we are so intelligent that we can't even accept what they are saying. We can't even accept what Krishna is saying. This is foolish. Just accept Krishna. Just accept what he's saying in Bhagavad Gita. Practice it. Make your life perfect. And in this one lifetime, you can go back to Godhead. In one lifetime. This is possible. Prabhupada goes on to say, the word anugraha by which Arjuna is addressed is significant. Anugraha, O sinless one, means that unless one is freed from all sinful reactions, it is very difficult to understand Krishna. See, why you're not able to understand Krishna? Because of our past sinful reactions. That's why the first thing Krishna says, Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami ma suchaha. I'll take away all your sins first, then you can understand me. But first surrender to me. You're not doing that, you're surrendering to your mind, you're trying to figure out this world by your mind, then who can help you? Prabhupada goes on to say, one has to become free from all contamination, all sinful activities, then he can understand. So until we freed from this, how? We will never understand. Therefore, we need a practice, devotional service. That's why this is so important. That's why I was saying Krishna saved the best for last. That without devotional service, you cannot understand anything about this world or the spiritual world. Prabhupada goes on to say, but devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. Just see. Just by doing devotional service, you're automatically sinless person. Just see that. Wow. You don't have to any other endeavors to say, I must free myself from this, free myself from that. No, just engage in devotional service to Krishna. That's it. Just start. Just start. Do something. Help in Food for Life. Help at the temple. Help on the Sunday feast. Help book distribution. Help preaching. Help something. Do something connected to Krishna. And by doing that, you'll see your whole life will change. Completely revolutionize. Completely 360. Prabhupada goes on to say, while one is performing devotional service in the association of pure devotees in full Krishna consciousness, there are certain things which require to be vanquished altogether. So Prabhupada is saying here, be aware of these things. He's speaking this deep insight into what is there you have to be careful of as practicing devotees. And he's saying, associate with pure devotees of Krishna, those who are completely surrendered to Krishna only. So what does he say? The most important thing one has to surmount is weakness of the heart. So this in Madhurya Kandambini is called Hridaya Durlabhya. So this means weakness of heart. You don't have the courage, the strength in your heart. So Prabhupada is advising here. Let's see what he says. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over material nature. So this is the first thing we've got to be careful of. Desire to lord it over material nature. Remember, the Lord is Purushotam. Let him lord it. That's his creation. We didn't create anything here. So Prabhupada goes on to say, thus one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. Because once you have this lording in nature, you're going to give up the service to Krishna. Means you still want to be the center. You don't want to be the servant. So you'll give up devotional service. So towards the end of this chapter, Srila Prabhupada summarizes in the purport the whole chapter in a very beautiful way. Let's try to read that together. In this chapter, the first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from these weaknesses of heart. So the first 5 verses describe how we free ourselves from the weaknesses of heart. And then he goes on to say, and the rest of the chapter, from the 6th verse through the end, discusses Purushottama Yoga, how to do devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. So I hope you enjoyed this chapter with us, these beautiful 20 verses, and I hope that we finally understood who is the Supreme Purushottam and most importantly, how to render devotional service to Him. So starting from tomorrow, we have a beautiful section. We've been discussing Gyan all the while. Tomorrow we're going to discuss Vrindavan. So please don't miss out and please join us for the last 10 days of Purushottam, where we're going to discuss the beautiful prayers, heartfelt prayers of Lord Brahma. Thank you very much. Please join us again tomorrow. Purushottama Bhagavan ki jai. 15 chapter Bhagavad Gita Purushottam Yoga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.